Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Crystal Thornton. This is my husband joining me, Gabriel.
Hey everybody.
And we are the founders of Psalm 56 Ministries. And today on our Sunday sit down, we want to sit down and just talk about our marriage story and how that all came about and just kind of the backstory on it to give y'all some insight for those who want to know more about us and just kind of our story and how we got to where we are today. So, Gabe, let us know what we're talking about first.
Okay, so we really think that this could be like an hour. So we're going to try to keep it probably half that time. So I think what is a good story about how God provided such an amazing, not only a wedding ring, she's wearing it right now. If you can show, that means you show the camera. How God provided this ring. Are we telling the folks the amount of how much it's worth?
Yeah, you can tell them.
Okay, so I think if I remember correctly, the ring or the engagement ring and the wedding band on her finger, they're both about $5,000. It's a beautiful ring. It's actually custom made with morganite.
It's my favorite ring.
It was her dream ring when she was looking at rings to want to be proposed with. She had given it to me while we were dating, and when I found out the pricing of these rings, it was very daunting. But we're going to tell you the story of how the Lord provided this ring for only $250. That's a title.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So there's that. And then, of course, our amazing wedding, which could have easily been $20,000.
Yeah,
I'd say
exactly. Yeah.
probably 20K,
Yes.
15 to 20,000, and it was probably $93, 93 to $200.
Yeah.
I didn't count all the expenses, but we'll go through that. So, how we met. I guess I like to tell the how we met story because I have such a great perspective. Crystal was just being Crystal, just touching her hair every 2 minutes.
Whatever.
Just getting ready for our, we had a satellite campus that we volunteered to do. She was at Free Chapel College, so they were kind of just slave labor, I guess you can call it.
Oh no.
But I actually volunteered. I did not go to the college. So essentially, I would just go, and actually I happened to be at the same campus that they were doing, or they would set up. So we were at the Midtown Atlanta campus setting up, and I just seen her. I kind of knew of her already, I think, because some of the guys that I was starting to talk to in the college knew Crystal because she was in the college as well. And so pretty much something really caught my eye where we were kind of at the front entrance in Atlanta of the venue, and we pretty much were done getting all the, if you've ever been into like a satellite campus where there's a lot of poles, a lot of curtains, a lot of signs, you can stand up, and everything was done. So everybody was just talking, and there was just a very immature talk. So I feel like this was 2019.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what day or what month. I'm really bad at that, so I will keep giving that to you. But essentially, I seen her, and I just thought the conversation was very stupid, and I seen her face, and out of all the people laughing at this stupid conversation, I seen her, and she was rolling her eyes, or kind of just see what she just did. It was like that, like kind of like this is like thing. And I was like,
Yeah, I have a lot of faces, you guys.
that was kind of what sparked me, because I was like, she's the only one that kind of feels how I feel probably. So then I kept moving on with the conversation or just listening in. And then something else is said stupid, and she does the face again. And I'm like, I like her. I already can tell that she thinks it's stupid just like I do. And I told her, I forget how I said it, of course, but I was like, oh, like I saw your face. You are probably thinking the same way I'm thinking. And you're like, what? Like, just kind of surprised that someone looked at your face and actually like called it out. And so that was like my first time meeting Crystal at church. So the rumors are true. Absolutely, you can meet your wife at church, and it's a great place to meet your wife. So that was kind of the first time. But then the second time, I feel like Crystal tells that part of the story pretty well, where we actually then sat and talked at a restaurant.
Yeah, so I was at church on a Wednesday service, and after the service, usually our friends go and eat at the college, and all of my friends at the time were on a mission trip, and I didn't want to go out to eat. I was like, I'm going home, I'm going to sleep, I'll eat at the house. I don't have to eat in a restaurant. And one of our friends, both of our good friends, his name is Thaddeus, he actually invited us, well, me and my husband now, to go eat at this restaurant. It's called Cookout for those of you in Georgia. Good old Cookout. It was so cheap, and just reasonable for us as college students. But he invited us to go out to eat, and pretty much I didn't want to go. He like in a way begged me to go, and just have fun and just to hang out and not be alone and not sit at home by myself. So I caved and I went with them, and it was him and two other guys and then another girl. So it was about five of us total. So
There's an unknown person that we don't know.
A girl, I
who
think,
was
but I
there, but
think I know who she is. But yeah, so he was there, and it was the first time I seen him. And he says, the whole Midtown thing, but I don't recall too much of that experience and that encounter. So I don't recall much of that encounter. But what happened at Cookout is I seen him for the first time, and I knew Thaddeus. Thaddeus went to the college with me, but the others did not. And so when I seen Gabe, my honest opinion of him was he was cute and he was attractive. But at the time, God had me not dating, not entertaining anyone, not talking to anyone, and being celibate in all aspects. Dating, not talking to anyone, and really keeping that with God and making sure that I do that. So, of course, I thought he was cute. I thought he was attractive. But I could not show that. I could not tell him that. And those were my personal boundaries and the personal, just boundaries I made with God that I was not going to do, and just wanted to stay celibate and wanted to be single for the time being that he told me to. So when I met him, I was really nervous. I think that he came off very smart and intelligent. He had a very extreme vocabulary, bigger than I was used to. And I was very intimidated by that. So I would talk, but I think I kept it very short. But overall, I think he got a chance to get to know me better. And I know that was one of the occasions where he wanted to know me better as a person. And we started slowly but surely talking as friends. And we were not attracted to each other by no means. And that's how it starts. I think that's the beauty of being friends first, is you really can get to know the person and know who they are, what they like, what they don't like, just getting to know someone. I think that's so powerful before you're dating and getting romantically involved with someone. So that's kind of my story of how our first encounter with each other.
Yeah, so she said, she did not mention that her first impression of me physically was my eyes. She was thinking to herself that my eyes were big and they were probably bigger than hers, which her eyes, she reports, are very large. And so she was amazed that mine were potentially larger.
Yes.
Interesting observation.
Yeah.
But my observation, which may be just as strange, but I don't know, I noticed her cheeks immediately. And I've never met someone with such like poked out cheeks. So I actually asked her, unlike her, I feel like she didn't ask me anything that she was curious about, for good reason, maybe.
I knew your eyes were real. Like you didn't just go get surgery or something done to your eyes. That's not really a thing.
That wasn't my question. I just asked about your ethnicity, but I don't know if you had any actual questions. Maybe you just didn't have any questions, but I had a question and I was like, "Are you Native American?" That was like my first, not my first, but I think it was one of my first questions I ever asked you.
Yeah.
And to this day, you still look Native American to me. You must be. We're trying to get a test going for both of us. I think that's another story in itself for
Our genealogy and
our
just
DNA.
the story behind that.
But I'm convinced that she has some Native American in her. But
let me know what y'all think, what I look like.
oh my God,
Leave it in the comments.
everything. She looks like everything. She's been called.
Oh, I've been called everything. Ever since when I moved to Georgia, I've been called so many things. Am I Dominican? Am I Puerto Rican? What's one that I've gotten that's like kind of crazy?
Brazilian.
Yeah, Brazilian.
Because of your hair.
Brazilian. Yeah, and then I've gotten that I look half black.
Has anyone called you like a Pakistani or like the Saudi?
Armenian. I've gotten Armenian like Kim. They're like, you look
Well, that's
like
doable.
Kim. Like, are you Armenian? Yeah.
Yeah, that's doable.
A friend at Free Chapel College, she thought I was Armenian.
Yeah.
So I've gotten that. What else? Like
You could be any of those things. Like you really could.
Arabic, like all
You
those.
don't really look Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the way you do your hair and your eyebrows. Like it all kind of points you towards like the East, like when you start looking more of Eastern.
Yeah.
But anyway, so essentially, we, I think the story of us actually starting to like each other, I think everyone loves. So if you don't love it, you're probably a hater. It's okay.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. But
He's not.
but you don't have to love our story. But essentially, I'll try and be quick. We were just friends for a long time. So we known each other for a while. We were kind of just consistently talking on and off. Crystal's grandma actually had passed away in the middle of us starting to be good friends. Yeah. She would call me and we would just talk about the Bible or God or prophecy, visions. Really enjoyed talking to Crystal as friends a lot, but never still liked her. And her grandma passes away in October 2019.
Yeah.
And so
no, September actually.
Oh, September. So that really changed our friendship a lot. She really needed a break. I don't know if you wanted to touch on that quickly or no.
Yeah, I think when I was in ministry school, I got the news that my grandma was passing away. It was very devastating to me, and it took me by a shock. And I really was just on pause with everything. I ended up coming back to Texas for the funeral and the viewing of my grandmother, and I really just put everyone on pause, and I was grieving and mourning and didn't know how to do that because I've never lost someone so close to me before. And I think that losing her, I really had to face, the grieving and the mourning process, but never knew what that realistically looked like. And so I took it out on my friends. I distanced myself. I wanted space. I was very closed off, and to the point where people were wondering about me, if I was even coming back to ministry school, because I left for about 6 to 8 weeks. I was gone. And, pastors started reaching out to me and everyone, but it took a toll on a lot of my friendships and even him. I didn't talk to him for a while, and I just really wanted to be alone. I really wanted to grieve and feel that process out, and didn't know that friends could help me in that process. And he wanted to be that friend for me, but didn't quite let him.
Yeah. So we were friends still. And, I just tried to check up on her when she went to her grandma's funeral, and we kind of just didn't talk for like 3 months. And God told me that to leave her alone and she'd be back. So, and we're just friends, so I didn't think of it sexual or anything. She just needed a break. And turns out I heard God correctly there. So I think in January, she texts me back pretty randomly on Instagram, and she pretty much tells me to take her out to eat.
I was in the DMs.
She slid in my DMs and told me to take her and buy her food, pretty much.
And I think we were fasting too, so
Out of nowhere.
I think we shouldn't have been eating out, but yeah.
We didn't break the fast, but
Okay.
you said probably after the fast.
Yeah, I think it was after the fast.
And then I think Slick, I remember after the fast, we were supposed to go, and then you canceled, potentially.
Yeah. I had something for school I had to catch up on, and I literally forgot, and I told him, I was like, I'm so sorry, I have to cancel on you. I didn't want to, but I felt like if I didn't cancel on you, I would have been late with my assignment or wouldn't have been good, and I'm not that type of person.
Yeah, so I was upset. I thought she was playing with my feelings. At this point, I realized that I really like her as a friend a lot, and that I was ready to catch up with her, and then she canceled. But we eventually met up again. But so we're already in probably 2020, February, and then COVID happens. So a lot of stuff occurs. So personally, I took COVID very well. I think Crystal didn't take it as well as I did because she was away from family. So I could probably let you kind of talk on leaving and kind of how you felt around COVID. But essentially, I had worked for myself at the time during COVID. I had a small freelance agency, and I would help people with Amazon advertising, Amazon marketing, people that had an Amazon store. I was trained in pretty much helping them increase their sales. And I was able to have that job or work for myself for a while, all the way into COVID. And I was able to get self-employed unemployment, which was part of the big care package or whatever it was called. That was it Trump at the time? I think it was Trump. Yeah, it was Trump. Yeah. Trump was giving out at the time. So yeah, and I was getting a lot of those checks, and I was good. So I feel like I had a great COVID. I made some of the most money I ever made, actually. Thank you, Trump. During COVID, because of all of the, I was actually somehow able to get, this was complete favor from God. I was fired from my previous agency, which is maybe another story. I think it was meant to be. It felt like it wasn't needed, but it really was. We just wasn't a good fit for each other. And then I actually went ahead and applied during COVID for unemployment, even though I got fired, which if anyone's ever been unemployed and filed for unemployment, they know that you can't get that. But I actually got approved somehow. Guess the employer signed off on it and said that I didn't get fired. And so I actually was getting unemployment and self-employment unemployment. I don't even know if that's legal or whatever, but it happened. So essentially I was making like the most money in business I was making like at that time. Pretty crazy. That was one of the many like ways God provided, like, and I've learned like God can provide in so many ways. Like he'll use the government, he'll use your enemies. We've already had quote unquote enemies donate to this ministry.
Oh yes, yes,
The
definitely.
favor is real here. We've had people that are in iniquity, full-blown sin, that are saying that they want to contribute to our ministry as well. Money can come from anywhere.
Yeah, do not limit God.
Anywhere. So, but anyway, I had a great COVID experience. I feel like there's always the group of people that said their COVID was great, and then people that felt like they nearly committed suicide. So where did you stand and how was it for you?
It was great until it wasn't great. But no, so I was still in ministry school in 2020, going to graduate in May. So it was very shocking that the world was, in a sense, shutting down. It was raising a lot of questions for everybody, like me, us in ministry school, and pretty much didn't know what was going to happen. Like if we were going to get cut off, like not graduate, the world was ending, Jesus was coming back. Who knew? No one knew, right? So February, we get told that we are canceling school. We're going to go strictly online. And kid you not, one of my teachers at the time, he had went to California. I think I told you the story. He went to California for a business trip, came back, and he actually had COVID. So if we would have met with him that session or the next time we met in class, he would have probably given us all COVID. Sounds scary, but thank God, like, for timing, and thank God that we all left and they canceled school and, said, hey, we'll resume online and not be in person anymore. So pretty much I was afraid. I was kind of just scared of what was happening next. So I was working at Walmart at the time as a pharmacy tech and just completely told them like, hey, I need to go back home. I was in Georgia at the time and wanted to come back to Texas because I did not know what was going to happen. I didn't know if the airports were going to get shut down, transportation. I didn't know what they were capable of. So pretty much letting my job know, hey, I want to, take my job back to Texas and stay with my family for a little bit. And I probably shouldn't have, but I transferred pharmacy to pharmacy. You can do that with Walmart, and that's how I even got the job in Georgia. But pretty much made a transfer back to Texas for the meantime till I stayed. I came back and I stayed here for a little bit. So it was in March when I came back to Texas with my family, just making sure that I'm safe and just with them, because I didn't know what was about to happen. I didn't know if the world was going to shut down, and I didn't want to be by myself. I lived with someone from the church, but I didn't feel completely safe. I wanted to be with my family. So that's what caused me from moving back, but it was good. I worked for most of the time and saved money, and my parents didn't charge me. They cooked for me. They helped me out. It was good until it wasn't good. There's those people that you can only be around for so long, and no shade to my parents, but you can only, sometimes you're an adult, you move out and you can only be around them for so long because you're in your ways, they're in their ways. And some things, it's just, you're meant to move out at a certain age. So I really experienced that in COVID with them, and really just made sure that like I went to work or I had walks and went out and walked and went out and had a break or talked to friends and things like that. But it truly showed me how much I missed Georgia and how much I missed just kind of living on my own and not to be rebellious or to do what I want when I want, but just really having the freedom of an adult. So that was my experience. It wasn't bad, but there was at the end where I was like, okay, we're done here. I want to go back to Georgia. I want to go back to my friends, and I just want to go back to kind of being normal to some extent. So that pretty much was my story, or how I felt in COVID.
Yeah, can you tell them about like us talking during COVID? Like, I guess what you liked about me, checking up on you.
Yeah, so actually Gabe was pretty much the only friend that checked on me. So a lot of my friends knew that I went back to Texas, and I think, I see it now, but everyone was scared. Everyone just didn't know what was going to happen, but Gabe was the only one who checked on me and who really like made sure I was okay, made sure I was doing fine in COVID and how things were. We just kept up with each other. And that really caught my eye that he was willing to just check on me, my well-being, and making sure that I was okay, because who knows if I would have made it, in the planes and, just coming back and forth. And, even working in a pharmacy where people potentially had COVID or like patients were coming in with COVID, he really did a good job of doing that and checking in on me. So that made me more just, fond of him and really like growing more interest in him. I didn't want to fall for him. I didn't want to romantically be involved with him. And I remember telling him like via text, like, hey, we need to stop talking so much, because if we keep this up, someone is going to fall for someone. And he doesn't remember, he claims, but he said it's too late. So meaning he already is falling for me. And I kind of freak out. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's too late. Like, I'm telling you, like, I don't want this to happen. So like, let's stop right here. Like, stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, we had such great conversations. So this was probably from maybe March to April-ish, I would say. I'm not sure.
It's like I would say February to like April.
I don't know if you know what day you moved back, or
what day I moved back when I came back?
Moved back to Amarillo for COVID.
Oh, it was the end of March, but no. But I know we were talking in February, though, because I remember you went to that conference or whatever. Uh-huh. And I told you.
That was February?
Yeah. I told you that I was happy that you were going and investing in our future.
Okay. So this is perfect. So there was a lot of flirting that I think definitely started to happen, which I think it was very natural.
It was subtle, but I wasn't trying to flirt with him. I think I'm naturally a flirty person, I think, when it comes to guys that I like think are cute or attractive, and I don't try to flirt with them sometimes. Like, now I don't, of course I'm married, but back then, if I thought someone was cute, like, I think I would subconsciously flirt with them just because it was a tendency of mine. But I told him that you're investing in our future. He was going to a conference, and that's just how I felt. I feel like he was investing in us in a way. I don't know. Like, I didn't see a future with him necessarily, but I just felt like he was investing, like, I think, in our friendship and just him being a good person and an overall good man.
She expects me to see that comment as a comment towards friendship. I think she's definitely, I don't know, that's a little
I'm delusional.
Shady. Just a little shady, but yeah, I went to a men's conference, I guess in February, and she told me to have fun, be careful, and thank you for investing in our future. We were
very chill. Like, I was just so chill about it.
And there was just a lot of little things. She learned about, I guess, Khloe Kardashian's term of quarantine boo.
Yes.
So
shout out if y'all know what quarantine boo means.
Yes. Put in the comments if you are familiar with being a quarantine boo, what quarantine boos was. Ooh, tag your quarantine boo.
Wow, don't tag them.
Did you marry your quarantine boo? I'm just curious because I did. So essentially it's COVID now, and she mentions, oh, I want a quarantine boo like Khloe Kardashian. So I said, do you want to be my quarantine boo?
Wow, and he asked me.
She agreed to that, and so we became quarantine boos, but she was in Amarillo, Texas, and I was in Alpharetta, Georgia. So,
and keep in mind, we're still not dating. We're talking
at this point, making all kinds of jokes.
Yeah, about as if we're dating.
Yeah, just being very friendly, but appropriate, I'd say, at this time. So essentially, we, I guess, started really just getting comfortable at this time. So we get to April, and then that statement, which unfortunately I don't quite remember that way. But we were on the phone, I was on a walk, and she told me, well, we got to stop talking or someone's going to fall for each other. I don't even know how we even got on that. Like, that's even an interesting topic that we got on for her to say that.
I just felt like I knew the signs because I've dated so much that you can't just keep talking without falling for each other. Like, especially if it's good conversations, deep conversation, it's really, really hard to be the opposite sex and not like have feelings for each other. You really just have to know beforehand and your intentions and your motives, like, hey, we're not dating, we're never gonna date, or that's not my intention with you. But that was never said with us. Like, we never made those statements, and I think it was free for all, kind of like, oh well, he could be a potential boyfriend, I could be a potential girlfriend. So as the conversations were getting more deep and just more enjoyable, I knew that it was bound to happen, that someone was gonna like someone or fall for someone. And sure enough, I was right.
Yeah, so I tell her, I feel like me saying it was too late. I feel like I don't remember it as me admitting that I liked her. I think it was just saying it's too late. We already are talking for too long. Like, we've done talked, we're done, talked about quarantine booze, we've done, said all these little jokes about each other. And I feel like that's what I meant. Like, we done went there, so we might as well keep talking. But I did realize, though, at that point, I felt like I had a crush on her at that point, April 2020. And so eventually, we get to April 6th, and I don't know how it happens, but I think we prayed the day before.
Yes, I told him
actually.
to pray about dating me. I did not. You pray and I will pray. And I think we didn't talk. Like I told you, I was like, pray and don't talk to me all day.
Yes, so I forgot about that part. And then I come to find out later, she tells me later that she prayed me out of her life at least 5 to 6 times from the start of...
You're never too sure, guys.
From the start of pretty much us wanting to date each other. I feel like for a couple months, right, you were still praying me out?
Yeah, I still was very...
Even though we were dating for a couple months?
Yeah.
Her prayer, that's another video about how she prays people out of her life, but it is very effective how she does it. But it's always, if it's your will, then pray this person out. And so that was the prayer, and I never really showed any signs of... Typically what happens if she prays someone out, like, they'll show signs of being an inconsistent person. They'll be exposed and you see negative qualities about the person. But I was exposed by seeing the inside of me being good. And so it's kind of interesting. So yeah, we officially started dating during COVID while she's in Amarillo and I'm in Georgia. So technically, we were in a long distance relationship.
Yeah, for about a month. I came back, I remember, after Mother's Day, because I wanted to spend Mother's Day with my mom, just because I didn't know how COVID would end or whatever. So making that memorable time with her, and then I came back probably a day or two later.
Yeah.
So
here we are dating now. She's living with, I call her a host mom in a way.
Yeah, that's a reference we use.
So they pretty much, at the college at this time, they did not have dorms. We pray by the time you're watching this video someday that they finish the dorms at Free Chapel College. But unfortunately, they didn't have dorms in this program, so they would have to room with people in apartments nearby or find a host to host the student. So she has an amazing story of finding a host. We don't have enough time to talk about it today, but essentially she got an amazing deal with a single older woman, and she had no husband, no kids living with her. Beautiful townhome.
No pets.
And
nothing.
she paid, is it $200 a month?
$250. I paid $250 a month.
$250 a month, full access to the fridge. Did she pay like for food too? Like, you would buy food, but would she cook for you often or no?
She always had food in the house. Like, she was very healthy and just like eating organically and things like that. So anything that she made, I could eat and had access to. So yeah, she had a lot of food in the house, a lot of snacks, and she bought toilet paper, everything, like toiletry, like
pretty much
all that stuff can get
mother.
expensive. Yeah,
pretty much
laundry
a mother.
detergent. Like, I never bought laundry detergent. Yeah, like The only thing I really bought was maybe my personal products like shampoo and my soap and stuff, but I never really bought much. Food sometimes, but not really.
Yeah.
I was living really good with her.
Absolutely. Everything seemingly going well from May to June up into the start of July. And things start to kind of unfold for the worse. I feel like it's just a crazy story. Again, I feel like I said in the beginning, we could be talking for an hour about everything. But really, in summary, you eventually go from living this amazing life with her to then being kicked out.
Oh yes, yeah. So that's a story in itself. So I came back
But
in.
before you tell them,
Oh,
we're going to save that for part 2. So if you guys have enjoyed this story, I feel like this is probably not some people's cup of tea. They want us to yell and scream and preach the word of God. But I think this is very important for those not only that are aspiring to be married and seeing how God can use anything, whether that's with a pandemic or with not feeling like you have enough money to be married or excuse me.
that's a big one. That's a really big one. I hear it all the time that people don't get married because they don't have enough money. That is the most foolish reason why you shouldn't get married.
Yes. Or if you had a up and down interesting story like us, I just want to bring hope that look, this isn't, a sermon, but we just pray that it's just as inspirational to y'all that y'all hear this amazing story. We know that this story is very long, so we're going to go ahead and stop it here. If you want to hear about how Crystal's host mom came from being an amazing dream host to randomly kicking her out of her house, then click right here and go ahead and I'll meet you there. Bye.
Bye, guys.